Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth. Fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then please smash the subscribe button. Somebody, please smash the subscribe button and the like button. And please do follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMan. And welcome to another week. Welcome to Monday's edition of the DCEU Daily. How will the Snyder Cut end? Before I get into that, do you know why they hate us and they hate Zack and they hate his movies, especially his DC movies? Because he's different. His films are different and we are different. Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice are made in a very different, unique way. Is that really a reason to say that these films are bad? Of course not. But different is bad to these people. As soon as DC started producing Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and these kind of MCU bots saw them, they're not like the MCU, so they must be bad. The MCU, that's all we got. I don't have a direct issue with the MCU or Kevin Feige or the MCU fans. I don't. I've got those films. I appreciate those films. But not every fucking film has to be like the bloody MCU. That's the thing here. But they never had faith in Zack from the beginning, the studio. They wanted Christopher Nolan. They didn't want Zack Snyder. And Christopher Nolan was insistent that Zack Snyder should run the DCEU. From the moment they commissioned 3 Justice League movies, and then they reduced it to 1, Houston, we had a problem. It was proof that they had no faith in this man, that they were being affected by the critics and the pundits and the mainstream audience. We had a problem. It was only a matter of time until they started interfering with the 1 Justice League movie he had left. And in the end, he had to walk. Now, originally, if I've got this right, what Zack told us is that the first Justice League movie, or was it the second one? I can't remember now. I think it's the first one, where literally Diana chops off Steppenwolf's head, and then Darkseid appears, and then they jump into the solar beam or whatever you call it, right? I forgot what they call it now. And they go to Apocalypse. So literally in Justice League 2, they were going to fight Darkseid on Apocalypse. Who knows the kind of stuff we were going to see in that film? Now, the Snyder Cut is a 4-hour movie. Initially, it will be a 4-episode miniseries, each episode running an hour long. Now, we know he's going to put it into one movie, or I kind of predict that there will be a brief cinematic release for the Snyder Cut in film format, in a 4-hour film format. And then it will be released on digital, 4K and Blu-ray, and also on DVD. That's what I predict, so that's very exciting. Now, how will this film end? Seeing originally it was going to end with a cliffhanger, are we still going to finish with a cliffhanger? Now, what's interesting to me is that what are AT&T and HBO Max and Warner Media thinking here? Does it finish with a cliffhanger? Is it a to-be-continued situation? Now, did Zack originally film footage also for a Justice League 2? This is something we simply don't know. Now, if he did, he could have, he could have actually added this to the 4-hour cut. That's why maybe it is a 4-hour cut, because there's elements of Justice League 2 in that. I don't know. We don't know. So many people ask me every single day, how do you think it's going to end? Will we get a sequel? Will we get a season 2? I simply don't know. But it's interesting that Zack said his original cut wasn't going to be 4 hours. But we don't know if he ever did film any footage for a Justice League 2 while he was doing the first Justice League. Now, if you go back 30 or 40 years with Superman the movie, they were shooting scenes for the first Superman and the second Superman, but they got into financial trouble, and Warner Brothers suggested to the Salkinds, who were actually running the film, that just focus on the first film. So they had shot lots of scenes for Superman 2, but that went for the wayside, and that's how we were able to get the Donner cut eventually. And so the question I'm asking today is, in fact, Did he shoot anything for a Justice League 2? And has he added this to the 4-hour cut? Because he's already said that his original cut of Justice League was going to be nowhere near 4 hours. I'm predicting his original film was going to be the same length as Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, which is about 3 hours, just approaching 3 hours, right? Epic, awesome, and brilliant. But Warner Brothers had told him once they reduced it to one movie, they wanted a 2-hour film. Zack actually thought they were joking. It was a joke, but not a joke worth laughing at. And so, in terms of how the Justice League movie, the Snyder Cut, will finish, all depends on how the studio are feeling about Zack Snyder. There seems to be more of a confidence in him now. What complicates the issue now, why I don't have a direct opinion or answer on this question, is that last week Ben Affleck was announced to play Batman and Bruce Wayne in the Flashpoint movie. Now, this does signal that maybe this means the Snyderverse is back. But we should be very careful here because Batfleck could actually be back. So when Barry goes into Flashpoint, Batman doesn't exist anymore. When he sets things mostly right, Batfleck isn't there. That would be a disaster. The problem that AT&T and Warner Media would have is they've garnered some goodwill from us, the DCEU Snyderverse fandom. If they were to kind of delete Batfleck from the timeline, they would lose that goodwill. And when you've got a fandom finally on your side, you don't want to do that. So I would imagine that they're not going to do that. They're not going to delete him from the timeline. But this thing of a Flashpoint story has been going for a very long time. If we all remember what Grace Randolph said about Wonder Woman 84 and how something happens that changes the timeline. And I've always predicted that could be when Diana maybe decides to keep Steve Trevor alive by the end of Wonder Woman 84. That's nothing that I saw in the test screening, but test screenings they're not the finished article. They're just test screenings. So nobody knows. So I can't give you any clues for that. But it is very good news that Batfleck's going to be in Flashpoint. This would mean that they are looking to stay faithful to the Snyderverse and allow Zack Snyder to make more DCEU movies. And I'm sure and I'm confident Zack wants to do that. So that's why people are begging AT&T and Warner Media to allow Ben to make his Batman movie into an HBO Max streaming miniseries like the Snyder Cut, right? So potentially, the Snyder Cut could actually finish with a cliffhanger, with the original cliffhanger of the boom tube. That's the word I was thinking of, the boom tube, where basically Diana chops off Steppenwolf's head, Darkseid appears, basically treads on the head, puts it in the boom tube, and he vanishes, and then the Justice League dive into that boom tube as well. So the next movie is set on Apocalypse, where the Justice League are battling with Darkseid in hell, in Apocalypse. Imagine that, right? Zack Snyder was actually going to do a trilogy of movies. But the old regime of Warner Brothers said, no, Zack, that's too interesting, compelling, awesome. We don't want to see your fantastic visuals and your awesome character development and storytelling. We want a Marvelized piece of crap, right? The Marvelized stuff works for the MCU. It doesn't work for DC because it's different. It doesn't mean that some DC movies can't be bright, fluffy, and family-orientated. But what Zack Snyder did was popular with the people who liked it, right? But they didn't understand. This multiverse strategy is genius, and it's what Jeff Johns and John Berg should have done from the very beginning. Something that pleases all different pockets of the fandom. If you want me to make a prediction, if the Snyder Cut will finish with a cliffhanger, I would say yes, this is Zack's proper true vision of the Snyder Cut of Justice League. It would be absolutely criminal if we don't get that ending. And then if we get that ending, we actually get a sequel. There's no way they're going to leave it like that. Also, don't listen to any haters. The Snyder Cut is going to be canon, Not one person is going to treat Justice League as canon. I was thinking of this the other day. One of the most disgusting things about Justice League is how pathetic and weak he made Lois Lane. I'm sorry, Clark. I wasn't very strong after you died. Are you kidding me? This is Lois fucking Lane. Lois Lane would be investigating everything that Luthor did, even though Luthor is now in Arkham, right? She would be looking into, she would be investigating, she'd be mourning Clark, she'd be crying herself to sleep at night. But this is one tough, hard, compassionate, loving dame. She's not weak. And what did Whedon give us? I can't write articles, real articles anymore. I have to write articles about cats. I just can't face it. Are you kidding me, Whedon? And don't get me into the Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, upskirt sequences. This guy reckons he's a bloody feminist. I think you've got the word feminism upside down, Mr. Whedon. Anyway, I do predict, okay, I had a little meltdown again, but anyway, I do predict that Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut of Justice League, will end with the original cliffhanger Zack had planned. But I want to know what you think. Do you think we're going to get a happy, clappy ending of the Snyder Cut, or will we see the Justice League jumping into the boom tube, ready to do battle with Darkseid on Apocalypse? That's what I think. Comment down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.